45.
It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
Great day to talk hockey. I am joined by the host of the Pipeline Show, a fabulous podcast that centers on drafted prospects and maybe a little bit of a slant towards WHLers because that happens to be where he lives, and he also does color commentary for the Edmonton Oil Kings. It is the one and only Guy Flaming. And yes, folks, that is his real name. Guy, how are you today?
It's Guy, but yes, no worries. Guhle. We're talking about this, Grant. Yes.
Hey, Guy.
Yeah, that's the controversial name, or the not the half of the name that throws people. My last name is Flaming, and yes, that is an actual last name. It's not something I picked. I know I get that a lot. It's like, is that your stage name, your media name? I'm like, if that was my choice, there's something wrong with me. That I send emails out and they go straight to spam boxes because emails from Flaming Guy, the way it looks, seems to trigger the old spam filter. So yeah, would not have picked that name for myself.
Yes, Guy. I thought I'd inject a little humor in there. I know the first time that I saw you, that we had an interaction on, and it was about a prospect, and I'm thinking, oh, geez. So this guy is calling himself Guy Flaming, and, I thought you were trolling me, but then, the more I read about you, oh, no, this guy actually knows his prospects, knows his stuff. And then, lo and behold, you started up a Pipeline Show. How many years now has it been?
This is
going?
the 21st year of the show. So 2006, we kicked off the show. Myself, and at the time I had a co-host. His name's Dean Millard. It's Darren Millard's brother, and he's in the media here in the Edmonton area. He grew up in WHL cities and worked in WHL cities. So when I put the show together, I had a very short list of potential co-hosts, and thankfully he said yes, because it was a one-man wish list of co-hosts. We did the show together for 12 years. It was on TSN 1260 in Edmonton. Then that station, we parted ways with the station, turned it into a podcast. Now the station doesn't even exist anymore. So it was the right choice to do that in 2017. It's been podcast ever since.
All right. Well, it's a great show. And if you, anyone that's interested in prospects, both drafted and drafted to be, check out the Pipeline Show with Guy Flaming.
Thank you.
Now, quite a race in the East there. Who do you think? I'm going to put you on the spot right off the bat here. Who's going to come out of the East this year, do you think?
Of the Western Hockey League?
Yes.
I think the Prince Albert Raiders are probably the best team in the conference, but Edmonton and Medicine Hat are going to both give them a run for their money once it gets to the playoffs. As it stands right now, Edmonton and Medicine Hat would meet in the second round. So PA would be just sitting there waiting for whichever teams survive that series, because that one could be a long one. It's a best of 7, but they might play 9 periods or 9 games worth of periods, including expected overtimes. So those 3 teams have been the class of the conference all season long. PA is sort of pulled away from the other 2 as the playoffs have gotten closer. But Edmonton and Medicine Hat both dealing with some injuries. I know we'll get to that in a moment. But right now on paper, I would say most people would pick Prince Albert to be the team to come out of the East.
Well, I know that they've had their number, Medicine Hat's number this year, I do believe. Just a quick update there. Czech Republic held on, beat Denmark 3-2. So Canada will be playing Czech Republic tomorrow in the quarterfinals. You gonna catch the medal round at least there, Guy, or what?
I would like to. It's not at a friendly time for the day job out here. Right. There's been a conflict with a lot of the Olympic hockey games that I haven't been able to watch much of, if at all.
Okay, well, I'll watch it for you there. So, how has Medicine Hat done against Edmonton head-to-head this year?
I think they've got 3 games left, so they play 8 in a season.
Oh.
I would think that if I remember correctly, the season split would probably be 3-2 in favor of Medicine Hat at this point.
Okay.
The most recent game Edmonton won in Medicine Hat was 4-2. I know Medicine Hat had blown Edmonton out 7-3 earlier this year, but they've played some really competitive. There's some animosity between these two teams, and that stems back to last season, even when Gavin McKenzie was with the team. And they've got 3 games left, and 2 of those are in Edmonton. So they're not separated by all that much right now in the standings. And it really could come right down to the last weekend or two of hockey in the season. It's been pretty close.
You mentioned McKenna as if he might have been part of the reason why there was such a rivalry. Did he punch out Kid in the alley of outside of a pub restaurant in Edmonton or anything like that?
He did it on the ice with a stick.
Okay.
The Oil Kings took the strategy last year of playing him very physically, and it seemed to work. The old adage is with the skilled players, you take away their time and their space. Well, the Oil Kings, that's how they approached Gavin McKenna. They were in his face all the time and played him very physical. And I wouldn't like getting hit all the time, and he didn't either. And he took it out on a defenseman named Josh Morey, who slashed him right across the midsection and got a 3-game suspension for it. So the Oil Kings found a way to get under his skin and rattle his cage a little bit. Unfortunately, they didn't get to play Medicine Hat in the playoffs last year, but they might get their chance this year.
Yeah. Well, there seems to be a big 3. They kind of separated themselves. Medicine Hat went on quite a winning streak at one point.
Yes.
I believe Prince Albert snapped it, though, I think.
Yeah, I think they got up to 21 games or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
A really good streak. It's a really good team.
I remember looking at the standings after they'd won about 20 straight, and they're still not in first place. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So Prince Albert obviously is a hell of a team. Bryce Pickford. Now, Habs fans, that happens to be the headline, injury update, all that stuff. Yeah. He's been out of the lineup now. Geez, it's been at least 3 weeks, and you keep seeing upper body injury day-to-day, upper body injury day-to-day, and the days have gone into weeks, soon be a month. What have you heard about what may possibly be going on with Bryce Pickford on the injury front?
What we know, what we know is that his last game was January 20th. I think they were playing the Calgary Hitmen. Since then, he's been listed as day-to-day, which is usually within a week. You're expected to come back within a week, or else you would be listed as week-to-week. But he's been listed day-to-day for a month. So that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Potentially, whatever the injury is, maybe he had a setback, and they keep pushing that back. So we don't know. The team isn't outwardly saying, okay, this is exactly what the situation is, which opens the door to a lot of speculation. So there are rumors. What I was told on the weekend by somebody not associated with the team is that he's going to need surgery, and the Montreal Canadiens are asking him to get surgery so that he'll be ready for training camp in the fall, which means he might be done for the year. Now that's not confirmed. That's complete speculation. But it kind of adds up. He's set that record that he was going for this year. He got the internet era record for goals in a season by a defenseman in the WHL. He's got his contract now with the Montreal Canadiens. He's got a WHL championship already under his belt. So from that perspective, okay, maybe he is hanging it up for the season because now he's focused on being ready for the fall. I did poke around this morning and asked some people with the team and around the team. The team didn't respond to me, but somebody close to the team, doesn't work for the team, says he's heard that rumor as well, but he's been told from the team that that's not the case. But again, that he's still listed as day-to-day and should be back anytime now. But we've been hearing that for a month. So there's more to it than what we're being told. There doesn't seem to be a lot of transparency coming. So that's the update, which isn't really crystal clear. But that's it.
Okay. Well, if have you at least been confirmed that has it been confirmed in any sense that like the surgery part of it is true, or that hasn't been
If he has
confirmed?
to have surgery, he'd be done for the year, is what I'm told.
Right.
But
So
not that he is about to have surgery, but it's
yeah,
a month. Like, I don't know. I was told that he's not even with the team right now. I don't remember off the top of my head where he's from. I don't know if he's gone home or if maybe he's in Montreal. I don't know. If he needs surgery, where would that surgery happen? Would it happen, in Alberta, in Medicine Hat, or in Calgary, or would the Canadians take control of that? So
yeah.
I'm not sure where exactly he is. So he's either done for the season or he's day to day. There you go. That's
Yeah. Well,
not a great update.
like I did look back at his final game, and like from what I believe I was right with this. Like he finished that game.
Okay.
So it's not like he left the game. So whatever it wasn't affecting him enough at that point, unless it happened in practice after that or off ice. Or
Yeah.
have you heard anything about where the injury occurred?
He's listed as upper body, and if it's something that potentially means surgery, then it's not a concussion.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Or a wrist,
unless they're doing a lobotomy, and I don't think that's the case. It's not concussion. It's not concussion related. So that would sound like it would probably be either hand injury of some sort, or shoulder, I guess.
Shoulder would be the most common, I would think. But
yeah,
certainly a hand or a wrist or I mean a forearm or something like that.
Elbow, maybe.
Tough to play a doctor when you don't know the whole story.
Or even part of the story, really.
Yeah.
I mean, upper body injury. All we know is it's upper body. Okay, well well, I mean, obviously Prince Albert becomes even more of a favorite. Edmonton becomes a favorite too, I think, without Pickford, because I mean, you got to see him this year. What are your impressions on the progression the last 2 years of Bryce Pickford, coming from he was a 2-goal scorer in Seattle. He gets traded to Medicine Hat, scores 35 goals counting playoffs and Memorial Cup last year. Another 35 this year, was on pace to break like the all-time goals record by a CHL defenseman, let alone a WHL defenseman.
Yeah.
And do you think he has do you think he will be an NHL player? And if so, can he be a second pairing guy even? Do you think?
I have no reason to think that he cannot be an NHL player. It's not like he's 5'9". He's 6'1", and I think he's about 190 pounds. So I don't think size is an issue for him. He skates really well, and his offensive instincts are terrific. He is such a threat when he's on the ice. And I mean, there's so many highlights of him this year going end to end and just going through the neutral zone and undressing opponents. It'll be harder when you get to turn pro and eventually you get up to the National Hockey League. But everything he's doing right now against his peer group suggests that, he should be a future NHL player. And if he's going to be in a top 4 role, hey, Montreal's got a lot of depth and some young defensemen already. So it might take him a little while. But, if he's not in the NHL till he's 23, 24, but once he's there and he's playing, with when the league is filled with his peer group and players his age, I don't have any question in my mind at this point that he can do it and that he will be an NHL player.
Yeah. Well, he's got a hell of a shot. Okay. Like if you say, like, if somebody's got an elite, scouts often say to me, if you've got an elite quality, an elite trait, that's often your ticket to the NHL, as long as there's no discernible weaknesses. And I think that kind of describes, he doesn't really have any discernible weaknesses. Like, His skating's not bad. His size is okay. He plays with a physical edge. He's smart. Leadership, character is not a question with him. Where to see, good puck skills, as you mentioned with the end to end. You can't go end to end unless you got good puck skills.
For sure.
But that shot, I can't recall too many players that I've scouted that just the accuracy and the velocity and the release are all just like elite to me. Have you?
He's got lots of skill, and the mobility you said is good. I think it's better than good. I think he's a terrific skater, to be honest. Yeah. I don't want to overhype a player, so if I was going to pump the brakes on him at all at this point, I would suggest it might be ice time, because Medicine Hat, for your listeners that might be more familiar with teams further east, like the London Knights or the Quebec Rempart when Patrick Waugh was there, their top two lines and their top pairing defensemen, top three defense, play a ton. Like, he's on the ice all the time. He might average 30 minutes a night.
Close to it.
A lot of time and a lot of opportunity. And when the power play's on the ice, they don't get off the ice until they score, basically, which their power play is like up around 30%. So it's really good. And I don't blame Willie Desjardins, the head coach there, because if you have that amount of talent and you want to win games, play your guys. You stick with your big guns. And Bryce Pickford has got the biggest gun in the WHL when it comes to defensemen.
Yeah. You obviously got to see quite a bit of Kaden Guhle when he got traded to the Oil Kings there his last year, and they went on quite a run, won the WHL championship. He's been beset by injuries at the NHL level. Same thing actually in junior to a certain extent too. So I don't know that we've yet to see. I mean, he hasn't played 200 NHL games, and as you well know, until you've played at least 200 games, it's hard to. There's a lot to learn at the NHL level before you're, you have a true idea of a defenseman's NHL upside.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
What did you think? Like, injuries aside, what when you watched him at the junior level, what did you see his upside ceiling being as an NHL defenseman?
He looked like a top four defenseman at the NHL level to me. Again, with his skating, and he's got a physical side to his game as well, and the offensive instincts. But I think he's also pretty solid defensively. I think he made the transition to the NHL quicker than I anticipated. I thought it might be a 1 or 2 year thing in the minors before he got that opportunity, but it seemed like he grabbed the opportunity and ran with it quicker than I anticipated that he would. It's unfortunate with the injuries because, that's going to set a guy's development or at least slow it if it doesn't set it back. It's a good kid, though, and he's pretty smart. I think he'll still figure it out. I don't think he's peaked just yet, put it that way.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of good WHL defensemen come out in recent drafts here. This year as well, it seems like at least half of the top ranked guys are defenders this year. Right now, obviously, you got to see both Rudolph and Carroll's, and you may have seen Lynn last year, I would think. What defenseman do you like? And I'll put Verhoff in this group too, because I'm sure you saw him as well. Although you may not have, I don't know if you've watched him this year or not, but out of those four defensemen, who do you like the most as far as an NHL prospect goes?
Of those four, the one I've seen the most is Daxon Rudolph, because he's in the same conference as the Edmonton Oil Kings. The other three are all in the East, and they only come to Edmonton every second year, or they're in the West, rather.
West. Oh, Moose Jaw, you don't see? Jeez, okay.
Well, Moose Jaw comes. They're in the same conference.
Oh, right. No, I'm thinking Prince George, right. You don't see Prince George.
George.
Austin
was there this year, and the same with Vancouver for Ryan Lynn. Now, I saw
Right.
all three of those players when they were here at the Hlinka and and last year when they came through to play the Oil Kings. Ryan Lynn was the best player on the ice last year when the Giants were here against Edmonton. Really controlled the play. His skating was fantastic. I don't know that he's taken as big a step forward this year as I or probably most people expected him to. That team has also struggled a lot more this year than anybody thought they would. I actually picked them to be the best team in the BC division, and they might not even make the playoffs.
Right.
How much they've struggled. Keaton Verhoff was very much the same thing when he was through with Victoria last year. Again, best player on the ice, and Cole Reshney was on that team as well. And Reshney was a non-factor in the game against the Oil Kings, but Verhoff was very good. And there were NCAA people in attendance that night, and they were all watching him. And eventually he goes to North Dakota. But there were gentlemen from other schools who were there to watch him as well. So he was definitely a highly sought-after player. And that would have been, I want to say, like November of last year of 24-25 season. As for Daxon Rudolph, there's a lot to like about him. He's not nearly as flashy as the others, but he's a steady Eddie guy and puts up big numbers. Like he's got 50 points or something this year.
Yeah, he does.
It's really understated kind of way. He's not skating end to end like Ryan Lynn would, or like Bryce Pickford would, or Ethan MacKenzie here in Edmonton. But he's always involved in the play, and he might get a lot of second assists. I haven't broken that down to see how many are primary assists and how many are secondary, but points are points. If you're involved in the play, I think you're going to take it, whether it's a first or a second assist. But so of the four I've seen Rudolph the most, I can't honestly say that, if I was going to have a top 15, all four of those guys would be in the top 15 and probably fairly close to each other. Verhoff, probably the top defenseman with some WHL background, but Carls and Lynn and Rudolph, not all that far behind.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a pile of them. What I have seen, I kind of, I like Carls a lot. And for me, he would be, it's between him and Verhoff for me at this point, but playoffs as always, and down the stretch, and U18s, if any of them go there, will have a lot of bearing, as I'm sure it does with you when you do your final list. Have you done a list this year?
The only list I've ever done actually is for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's so hard for me to compile a list that includes OHL guys and guys from the Q, because I'm not there.
No.
I'm a one-man operation, so I don't have a scouting staff. And I always tell listeners of my show, I don't consider myself to be a scout. I get scouts on my show to tell me, share their information and inform my opinion that way. And even the guys in the Western Conference of the WHL, because they're only here every second year, I don't get to see them at their peak. Like we just had the Everett Silvertips roll through town, and Landon DuPont was on that team. And I was telling everybody, the last time Everett was here, he wasn't even in the league. The next time Everett's here, he won't be in the league because he'll be in the NHL. So, we're trying to let people in the Edmonton area know that if you want to see this guy, come pay $20 to watch him play against the Oil Kings rather than $200 the next time he's in town to play against the Oilers.
Yeah. What were your impressions on Landon?
He's very good. He's very, very good.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. That night probably wasn't his best game, but he was still very effective. And, when he's got the puck on his stick, he can walk the blue line so effortlessly, and he's very good on the rush. I don't think he got a point that night against Edmonton. Neither did Carter Bear, but they still beat Edmonton 4-0. So it's a very strong, deep team, but it wasn't necessarily their big marquee names that led the way for them that night. Now they just finished their trip through Alberta and they went 4-1. The only loss was yesterday against the Calgary Hitmen. But I think in all the other games, DuPont and Bear led the way.
Was Van Hanen playing in that game?
He actually scored a goal 8 seconds into the game against Edmonton.
Okay.
I think probably the earliest a game-winning goal has been scored that I've been to. 8 seconds in, and it stands up to be the game winner.
So you had a positive early impression of him then.
Yes, that's right. He was very effective all night long, actually.
Yeah.
Now they pronounce it Van Honen, which very different. Every Finnish name that any Finn that I've talked to said the accent is on the first syllable, and
it's always on the first syllable.
Like Van Honen. But they say it's Van Honen, which I don't know.
Sounds Dutch.
Yes, very much so. You're right.
He got passed over in the last year's draft. He's putting up great point totals this year. I suspect he's going to go probably somewhere in the top 3 rounds, I think. Although Central Scouting had him down pretty low. Let's have a quick look here at these are the the top 2 guys have WHL ties, obviously. I threw them in there too. But these are the main the guys in the top 80 for Central Scouting's midterm rankings, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here if I can. There we go. They've got Carroll's. I mean, that's where I have him too. So, but like you say, you don't have a lot of. Obviously, they've got the Lynn, Rudolph, and Carroll's all closely bunched together, and you can make your arguments one way or the other. I think size maybe Carroll's and Rudolph a little bigger than Lynn, and that may be what gives them the edge, right?
Yeah, I would think that's a good point by you. I also Ben Macbeth, who plays for the Calgary Hitmen, ranked 20th there. I'm gonna get to see a lot of him down the stretch as the Hitmen and the Oil Kings. 3 of their last 4 games are head-to-head against each other twice here in Edmonton.
Okay.
So, I'll get a pretty good read on Macbeth by the end of it, but he's been a good player as well. And if he's going to be in that mix in the top 20, then I guess we should mention him too.
Yes. Well, I was curious. I think he kind of was a bit of a latecomer. Like at the first of the year, I don't think he was, he's definitely risen on the list.
Yes.
And I honestly haven't got around to looking at him yet, but have you seen him yet this year?
Saw him just this past weekend. There was a home and home with the Oil Kings and the Hitmen. And Friday night, the Oil Kings blew a 3-goal. I think they had a 3-1 lead, which they blew, and Calgary won that game. Here it was almost the same story, but Edmonton was able to hold on in that one. Macbeth here in Edmonton was okay. I don't think it was a bad game. I wasn't super impressed, but it's a 1-game sample size. The Hitman player that I did like, and I don't know if he's on this list just yet, was Landon Amrine, who's got size, little skinny still, but he must be 6'3", 6'4", and he's a forward. He looked good in that game, so might not be on this list, but I would suspect come the draft, he's probably a top 3 round guy.
Okay, so I was going to ask you if there's some players that aren't in this group that you might. Is there anyone else that comes to mind that you think maybe is going to end up in the top 20 WHL prospects?
Top 20. Well, the Ruck twins are listed here at 26 and 31.
Yes.
That's close enough to the top 20 to say they could get into the top 20. Certainly, if Medicine Hat has a long, productive spring and they go deep in the playoffs and maybe even to the Memorial Cup again, those guys would be in that mix. And Mathis Preston, it's just been a bad year for Preston. I think he's a better player than he's shown this season. He got traded.
Aren't good, eh?
No, the stats aren't good. Got traded from Spokane to Vancouver, and now he's hurt. I'm not sure if he's back just yet. So it's been a down year for Mathis Preston. But coming into this season, I mean, he was hyped as a potential top 10 guy,
top 10, top 15.
Yeah. So if he can get his game back on track, he might be a guy like next year where we're thinking, holy cow, somebody stole him in the mid 20s. So we'll watch to see if he gets back. Now, again, Vancouver might not make the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
could be a lost year basically for Preston.
Well, I guess he can go to the U18s then, I guess would be the where you would hope that he impresses, right?
Yes. I'd have to check the states to see if he's a late birthday or not.
Well, he played in the summer, right? So that means he's eligible. He's not a late birthday. He's eligible to play.
Great.
If you're a late birthday, you can't play at Hlinka.
Yeah, that's right.
Or the U18s at the end of the year. No, like what I was. Sorry, I didn't word that very well. I just meant like top 20 guys on this list. You know, like a guy that's not on this list that you think might
be in this mix.
Right, is what I was getting at. Not necessarily top 20 in the draft, but I'll give you a minute to think about that. But just like you did mention the Ruck brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're what, 3 and 4 in scoring in the WHL. Liam had 5-point game on the weekend. He's almost 6 foot, so size-wise, he's not that undersized. Are you a little surprised that Liam is at 26 North America in this list when that would put him as a second-round guy, like maybe around 40, when you include goalies and international?
Yeah, I would be surprised if he was still there at 40. He and Marcus both. I mean, there's not a whole lot to separate them. Statistically, I think traditionally in their careers, Liam has outscored Marcus, I think, every year. But for the most part of this year, Marcus had more points than Liam. That may have switched here over the last little bit. But they're both having terrific seasons. They work so well together. I would be surprised to see them both still there that late on day 2. Are they still separating day 1 and day 2, or is it like, are they doing rounds 1 and 2 together this year? Did I hear they're doing a format change like that?
Oh, as far as I know, it's just the first round, but I'm not sure about that.
I would be surprised if they were both there at 40. But
okay.
Again, I'm not a guy who sees a lot of the Europeans.
Well, no.
And it seems to be a good year for the Europeans.
Yeah.
So that's going to push some talented North Americans further down the ranking than a lot of people might expect.
Right. I wonder if there might be a team out there, you know, with the Brian Burke attitude, saying, "Well, are these guys going to work? Are these guys going to work together apart, or should we try to draft both of them?
Sure,
and swing some sort of a deal, because they obviously know each other. They have good chemistry. It's fair to say on the ice. They've always played together, right?
They've played together forever, obviously, and I think they've played like with Mathis Preston a lot over the last half a dozen years or so. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you get a team that's got an early second round pick and 2 late firsts or something like that, and you come away with all 3 of them.
Right. Well, yeah, I think you want to get a bounce it out and get a 6'3" guy to go with it or something. The teams don't, but yeah, I could see that, especially if they drop a little bit, right? Like, let's say Liam goes at 30, and then teams got to pick at 60, and they say, well, geez, why don't we move up to like 35 or 40 here if we can? If it gets to like 35 and Marcus is still on the board, move up, try to get him and pair them, because I think it might be wise to do that, because obviously, it's hard to beat having a line mate that you just know where he is on the ice all the time. I mean, the Sedins, right, is what I'm getting at. Like, Brian Burke made some trades and to ensure that he got both Daniel and Henrik, and obviously it paid off. One won the Henrik won the MVP, and Daniel won the Rocket Richard one year, so they turned out okay. Anyway, it'll be an interesting draft story. And I'm sure there'll be some teams that look at it and consider, especially if they drop a little bit.
Yeah.
And
if one goes right at the end of the first round and then you have a break until the second round starts the next day, you have much time to have negotiations.
Exactly.
It wouldn't be far-fetched to say whoever gets one of them at 29 or 31 or something like that finds a way to get the 33 or the 34 pick. And complete the set.
Well, what we see quite often is before day two, just like Montreal last draft, they moved up to get Jarosky, right? Did some negotiating overnight and got and moved up and picked the Russian kid. But let's get back to this list just quickly.
Sure.
You were mentioning about Ethan MacKenzie. Were you what's the deal here? He gets picked over Bryce Pickford and I know I was one, and a lot of Habs fans were,
sure,
up in arms about that. Nothing to take against Ethan MacKenzie, but Bryce Pickford was doing things that no defenseman's ever done, and he didn't get picked for the team.
Yeah,
I liked Ethan MacKenzie at the World Juniors. He held his own. I thought he played fine. Scored a big goal, assisted by Michael Age.
Yeah.
Why was he not drafted the last 2 years?
His first year of eligibility, he spent so much time on the sidelines due to injury that it wasn't a shock that he didn't get drafted. Last year, he started and took a while for him to get going, but his second half last year was so good. I thought there was no way he wouldn't get taken in the draft or that he would get overlooked again. I was stunned when even a 7th round pick, somebody didn't take a 7th rounder and throw it at Ethan MacKenzie. I thought that was such an oversight. And this year, he's just taken a massive leap forward again. He's just built on last year's second half and is completely he's so much better this year than he was in the second half last year, and that was a huge jump for him. So he's this team's best defenseman, and it's got guys like Blake Fiddler on it already, but he's the best defenseman on this team. Leads the attack up the ice. He's solid defensively. He's got a big shot as well. Plays physical. I think that's been part of his game too. That's been good for him, is to maybe stop dropping the gloves a little bit, because he's more valuable to the team on the ice than getting in fights and sitting in the penalty box for 5 or 10 minutes. So he's changed that, but he can do that, even though he's not the biggest guy in the world. I think he's 6'1" and 190-ish pounds. But when they drafted him, he was like 5'10". So he's grown a lot, and that may have contributed to why he didn't get drafted earlier as well. But certainly now with the recognition from Hockey Canada and getting to play on that stage, he's getting drafted this year.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a certain amount of you know better with a 20-year-old what you got too, right? And he's closer to, next year he can step into an AHL lineup. There's positives to drafting an older player sometimes too, right? And I think they have him 72 here, which would put him 5th, 74, which would put him probably 5th round if or 4th, 5th round.
Yeah,
I could see him going in the top 3 rounds this year.
Yeah, me too. I know during the World Juniors, certainly that first game, he had 3 points, including the game-winning goal, and played less than 12 minutes. There were people then who were saying, could he be a first-round pick? Which I thought was maybe a little bit of overhype. But I would not be surprised at all to see him taken in the top 75 of the entire draft, and that was certainly in the 3rd round. There are 3 places he could play next year. Well, 4 really. Whoever drafts him could sign him and put him in the American League, or maybe he has a great camp and gets some NHL time. He could be back with the Oil Kings next year, but he's also got a commitment to North Dakota. So he'd be playing with Keaton Veroff and Cole Reshney and those guys. And that seems at this point to be the most likely destination for him.
Really, eh?
Yeah, he's He's probably done with the WHL after this year.
Okay.
They would love to have him back. But again, he is a guy who could get drafted and signed and put in the American League.
Well, that's interesting. What are your thoughts on the changes that we've seen NCAA wise and how it's affected Canadian junior hockey? For me, like, I think what's going to happen here and is already happening is better 16, 17-year-olds playing in Canadian junior hockey, or more of them at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then fewer 18, 19-year-olds, good ones, because they go to they bugger off to college, like McKenna and Lindstrom and a bunch of them did. Do you think that that's ultimately like what we look at? It'll be more of a you get these American kids coming up to play junior hockey for a year or two or three, go back, go to college, and the league becomes younger because of it?
Well, that's kind of what we've seen here early on. That's the first ripple that's happened in the first year of this change. I don't know that we'll see the entire ramifications of this rule change probably for another 2 or 3 seasons to see how it all comes and plays itself out. You know, and I look at the players who left, and I want to focus on the guys who are underage players, so the 18 and 19-year-olds. I think there were like 20 that left the entire CHL to play in the NCAA. The vast majority of guys who left were guys in their 20-year-old season or had already played out their junior eligibility, which I think is fine. That's what you should do. I think the cases were guys who go down, those 20 players that left, some of them have had terrific seasons, like Porter Martone. Gavin McKenna's been good. Justin Poirier at Maine has had a terrific season. Then there are guys who have not had very good years, like Ryder Ritchie shot out of the gates like a bat out of hell, had 11 points in like the first month, and then didn't score a point for 2 months. And I think he's got 13 or 14 points now.
Lindstrom.
That's not great. Tomas Mercic was a 85-point guy in the Western Hockey League last year for the Prince Albert Raiders. Probably would be their best player this year on a Memorial Cup contending team. He goes to Colorado College and he's got less than 10 points. So it hasn't been a smooth transition for everybody, but it's the shiny new object, and so it was something players were attracted to. But I wonder how many guys will look at those players. What if Gavin McKenna doesn't go first overall?
Right.
This time last year, he was a lock to go first overall in the draft this year. He hasn't had a bad season.
No.
He hasn't blown everybody out of the water like some people expected he would. Oh, he's going to win the Hobie. He's going to lead the country in scoring. No, he's not. If he doesn't go first overall, was it a mistake? His camp would say no, because we're doing it for 5 to 10 years from now, not for this season. But I wonder if there's Landon DuPont. Does he say, you know what? I'm supposed to go first overall next year. So is McKenna. If he doesn't, maybe I should stay in Everett for another season, blow out of, have a ton of records, get taken first overall, then go, as a 19-year-old, which makes more sense to me.
Yes.
He's a guy who probably doesn't play more than a year anyway in college, if he plays at all, instead of just going to the NHL. Those are also almost unicorn examples, right? Those are not you can't make a broad statement when you're talking about elite players like Macklin Celebrini. You can't make policy based on him because he's such a special player.
Right.
I think most players should go to college 19 or 20.
Yeah, I agree.
I think most college coaches would prefer players to be a little bit older and mature as well.
And also, like Karls. What if Karls goes ahead of Verhoff? Right?
Sure.
I mean, it's possible. Maybe Rudolph does, but I think Karls is more highly regarded at this point in NHL circles, from what I hear. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that he goes ahead of Verhoff.
Sure. And the flip side of it is what's happened now on the other end for the CHL. Those 16, 17-year-olds coming into the league this year, some guys who expected to go to the NCAA have been pushed back to the CHL. They don't have a place. Like we had a couple of guys here in Edmonton, Andrew O'Neill, who was supposed to go to North Dakota, and Paul Anderson, who was supposed to go to Maine. They've traded him since. But both of those programs said, you know what? We don't have room for you this year. North Dakota's bringing in Verhoff and Cole Reshny and some other freshmen, Will Zellers. Andrew, go play in Edmonton. And so he's here. He's having a really good year. But he might not even be able to go next year. Maybe North Dakota's got too many guys again, so he's going to get delayed again. The CHL is going to benefit from that in a lot of instances. So there are a lot of incoming 16 and 17-year-olds to the CHL who probably have expectation to play NCAA at 18 or 19 who might not be able to until they're 19, 20.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
CHL is benefiting a lot from that right now. JP Hurlberg, he's leading the entire Canadian Hockey League in scoring. Might be in Michigan next year. Might be back in Kamloops next year.
Right.
I had him on the show last week. He said he doesn't know yet. That's a prime example.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting point. I mean, Medicine Hat, I thought Lindstrom, like, how good would Medicine Hat have been this year with McKenna and Lindstrom on, you know? Like, just, like, I mean.
Fantastic, for sure.
You know, I get.
Time, Medicine Hat's a team that lost 3 guys with Richie going and McKenna and Lindstrom and Andrew Basha, who actually they got back.
Right.
That's a team that looked like on the surface, oh my gosh, they're bleeding all these guys to the NCAA. Well, they recruited massively out of the United States last summer and had a lot of success. I think I got 7 or 8 Americans that are on the roster this year, and they haven't taken a step back at all. No. Right? I mean, they're one of the top teams in the league again. So
yeah, for sure.
The good teams will find a way.
Do you think the Wu kid might get some NHL interest? Too small?
I think he's too small. Might get an invite, and if somebody sees or likes what they see. I think he's going to Arizona State next year. So it might be a case where, let him develop for a couple of years there and sign him as a free agent.
Yeah. Well, that's quite possible. No, but Lindstrom, I thought, considering that he'd missed the entire year, the previous one, I was surprised that he went. I really thought that another year of junior. It's not like he had done it all at the junior level, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, injured, miss entire year. Come back to a Medicine Hat team that obvious contender, and he's been struggling. Like there's an example of a kid that maybe shouldn't have made the jump at this point.
Well, and he I'm not sure if it's health related, but he hasn't played every game this year for Michigan State either. Maybe that's from Columbus saying, monitor his or limit his action a bit. We're still nursing and concerned about his back. So I'm not sure exactly what the case is there, but yeah, a good point by you that, it hasn't been a smooth transition for him to the collegiate level either. And he's a big guy. Like he should be up physically to the challenge, like a Porter Martone or Roger McQueen at Providence. He's another guy who's had a good year, but big physically. He's been able to handle it.
Right. Quickly here, get to these goalies.
Sure.
Now, the Ruzicka kid in Brandon, I'm a little surprised that he was 4th on this list. Have you seen him? And if you did, what did you think of Ruzicka?
He arrived in Brandon late. It was I think it was probably 6 weeks, maybe even 2 months before he was able to play his first game. I don't know if it was visa issues or what it was to get him out of the Czech Republic. He's a giant. Like he's a Wookiee on skates. He's like 6'7" or something like that. It's an imposing specimen. Brandon is here in March, so that'll probably be my first opportunity to watch him in person, assuming he plays that night. So I have that one circled on the calendar, but it's not a surprise to me, or it's not a coincidence to me that Brandon started the season terribly, started to turn it around right around the time he arrived and playing in net for them. So I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, I think that they may have him a little low there. The other three guys, Orsolak, he's an 07. He passed through a draft. What have you thought of him and Carter this year?
Very good.
Or Casey, sorry.
Michael Orsolak, very good with the Prince Albert Raiders. Also has a very good team in front of him. But compared to the other goalies on his team, he's got better numbers. So that's an indication to me that there's something there. I liked him at the World Junior Championship as well, although he gave up quite a few goals as well. But I thought he made some nice stops. I think he's a very good goaltender. Carter Casey there with Medicine Hat, he's one of those Americans that the Tigers brought in to fill a hole. He's been good. I don't think he's lived up to the expectations he had after playing in the USHL in the playoffs last year, where he was on an unbelievable run and took Waterloo all the way to the final. But he's good. Xavier Wendt has had a terrific season statistically for the Tri-City Americans, not playing in the top prospect game for the WHL this week, which I was a bit surprised by. And they've actually had to have an injury replacement, and it still wasn't him that got the nod. So I'm a little surprised by that. I actually think the crop of goalies in the WHL this year, draft eligible, there's a lot of good ones. You threw up 5 names there. There's probably another 5 that I could give you. I think deserve consideration. It's a good year.
Well, you had a good list last year. You had guys that I didn't have on my list that you when you gave me your list.
Yes,
and it gave me some. It was much appreciated. I know we're not going to keep you much longer here. I could go another 30 minutes easily. Do you have a bit of time, or are you a little cramped?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Okay, good, because we haven't got through this. Hurlburt, it's been quite a year for him, eh? Did you get, obviously them being in the West, you haven't got to see him live this year, but you've seen it. Go ahead.
I talked to him last week rather. I have every expectation that he's going to blow people away at the combine. Like he's going to knock his combine interviews out of the park.
Okay.
Really down to earth, well-spoken and intelligent. Like he can, I talked to a lot of 17, 18-year-olds on my show, and some of them are like, hey, it's a 17-year-old kid doing one of his first interviews ever.
Yeah.
Other times it's like, I think I might be talking to this guy's father because he's so mature, well-spoken. And that was the case with Hurlburt. On the ice, I mean, the points just follow him around. He's an offensive juggernaut, not just leading his team or the Western Hockey League in scoring, but like I said, top scorer in the entire Canadian Hockey League as a rookie. That's pretty rare. So credit to him. Didn't blow the doors off at the CHL U.S. National Development Program crossover games, the 2-game series. He was okay, but maybe didn't live up to the expectations there. But the bigger sample size of this season, he's been outstanding for Kamloops.
Yeah, a very smart player, and I think he'll. I mean, top 20, certainly not out of. You almost have to expect it at this point, especially when you talk about, lost impressions, right? And at the combine. As you say, if he blows teams away with his interviews, he leads the CHL in scoring as a CHL rookie. You may see him even climb a bit, like late too. One of those guys that climbs after the season's over, right?
Yeah, it's possible. And again, he could be in Michigan next year playing for the Wolverines, and that, I know that's been a dream of his, but he'd also be happy being back in Kamloops. He's really liked the experience this year, but eventually expect him to be at Michigan eventually, whether that's next year or the year after that. And that's going to be a good spot for him too, because that's a highly offensive orientated team. And, maybe he goes in and replaces Michael Hage there one day, or something like that.
Right.
Adam Valentini went there this year as a 17-year-old, and I thought, why are you doing that to yourself as a 17-year-old? You're going to play college. You're not going to get ice time. It's going to be a struggle. And I was wrong. Adam Valentini's had a terrific year for Michigan.
Yeah.
But it could have been JP Hurlbert. So that's another example, like a 17-year-old supposed to go to Michigan. They could have invited him instead of Valentini, and the CHL would have lost that opportunity. So there's another example of the CHL benefiting from this NCAA rule change to get like Hurlbert.
That's a good point. Back on the list here, Preston has dropped, and it's justifiable. I mean, he's not close to a point per game this year, and I think that the expectation was that he'd be well over a point per game, and it just there's a lot of skill there, but he ended up getting traded even. Now his running mate there, Chase Harrington, obviously not a bad prospect either. Maybe
he's bigger.
That's right. I think a little more consistent in his competitiveness, perhaps.
The ceiling might not be quite as high, though. As it is with Preston.
Yeah, I think that's a good ranking for him. What about the two Saskatoon Blades, Williams and Olsen? What have you seen out of those two guys this year?
It's funny because there are guys who come in and they've got some buzz around them, some hype around them, and then when they come through Edmonton, they don't wow me. And Cooper Williams has been that guy this year for me. I think we do see them in Edmonton again once more. And I think if the playoffs started tomorrow, that might be the first round matchup for the Oil Kings. So I'll get to see him a lot if that's the case. But to this point, he hasn't wowed me. But everybody I've talked to about him has seen him better than I have. So I might be on the outside there and just haven't seen him at his best. But he's got decent size and he's putting up some decent points. Zach Olsen, I've probably heard better things of, or have seen better of, who's ranked right next to him there on the same team. So, but I'm definitely keeping my eyes out for Cooper Williams, another guy who's supposed to go to North Dakota eventually, if he doesn't get drafted high and signed.
Yeah, geez, North Dakota. Well, it's not too far, I guess. Not too far a recruiting trip. Go see a game in Brandon.
That's right.
Winnipeg. No, not Winnipeg anymore. Gustafson, I guess you wouldn't have seen. Just going down here.
Off that list, Noah Kosick, who plays now for Seattle. I saw him a lot the last couple of years because he was with both Swift Current and Calgary. Undersized, and I actually before this year I thought he's lazy. But this year he's turned things around and he's had a really good statistical season. So I don't know if something clicked for him or if just getting dealt from one team to another sort of was a bit of a kick in the pants. But he's turned it around and he looks like he might be a legit prospect. He's also gotten bigger. I think when they drafted him, he was like 5'8", and now I think he's closer to 6 feet, which is always interesting with the WHL because they draft a year younger than both the Q and the OHL do. So you're drafting 14 and 15-year-olds instead of 16-year-olds.
There you go.
You see that physical growth in players a lot more. I remember when Swift Current drafted Adam Lowry, and he was like 5'9". And the time he left the WHL, he was 6'5" and 220. So that's the type of change we can see in guys physically in this league.
Did the Seneca draft or the Seneca growth spurt?
Yes.
Now Lansard, Hamilton, Klimke. Any thoughts? Any of those three left any impression with you so far this year?
I saw Zach Lansard recently when the Pats were through town. He's an above average player, and I would say the same of Beckett Hamilton in Red Deer. They're above average players on below average teams. So it's like, what would that guy do with better line mates? I don't know that they drive their own line, but they might be really good complementary players. And if we're talking about 4th or 5th round picks, then I think that kind of makes sense, and it would be fair to describe those guys that way. If they were guys who did drive their own lines, they'd be 2nd or 3rd round picks.
Right.
The other guys there on the list, Giorgio Pantelis, Gio, with the Brandon Wheat Kings defenseman, Another guy like the goalie in Brandon, I'll get to watch next month, so have him circled. And Braden Klimke with Saskatoon, I actually did like him. He's got some ability, bigger and physical. So he was one that I could actually see higher on this list. And Van Hanen was just through here with the Everett Silvertips. We talked about him already.
Now, Everett had another kid that's not on that list that I think you mentioned to me the other day. Did you?
The Everett Silvertips? Well, we talked about Landon DuPont for next year.
Okay. Oh, I thought you mentioned that there was a guy that could be a top 60 pick on Everett.
Oh, I don't. That was probably Van Hanen.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw a different name. There wasn't a defenseman or something. Okay, maybe I'm.
Oh, he didn't play. Breck Liskey.
Yes.
Brek. Breck.
Yes.
Didn't play. He's injured, so did not get the chance to see him play.
Okay, all right. I didn't think I was going crazy.
Yeah, no, thank you. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder. Okay. I'll ask you now that we've gone through this list. Are there any guys you think that CS maybe has overlooked that might end up being in the top 20?
Well, I know if we expanded that to a top 30, there'd be 2 or 3 Edmonton Oil Kings on there that didn't make that particular list.
Gotcha.
There's a defenseman named Noah Ta'amu, who's of Polynesian descent. His father played it in the NFL. And he's a big defenseman. He's a kid, but he's 6'2" and 225 pounds, and really physical. More of a stay-at-home type of defenseman. But he's a good player. I think he was ranked 94 by Central Scouting. Then they have a player named Dylan Dean, another American out of Minnesota, who's ranked 96, who I like quite a bit. I like him better than Central Scouting. He's a forward with some size. He plays with edge, not afraid to go into difficult areas, all those cliches. He's going to be in the corner mucking it up. He's going to be in front of the net, battling for position. He's got a good shot, but he's not afraid to get his nose dirty. And I like players like that, especially when they're rookies. Sometimes the rookies shy away and play on the perimeter. That's not Dylan Dean. The downside for him is he's had some injuries this year. Nothing that I think is a concern long-term, but he's missed some time. So his stats are only kind of, okay. But I think he's a guy who's maybe under the radar who shouldn't be.
Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised you went with Edmonton Oil Kings there, Guy.
Shocker, I know.
Yeah. But hey, you get to see them, a lot, and you can get to appreciate some player, more so than crossover scout that maybe sees them once in a blue moon or whatever, what have you.
Pretty high. I mean, they're ranked in the top 100 for Central.
Yeah,
which pushing guys that are like
rounders. No. Well, 90, but 95 is, 5th, 6th round.
Yeah.
And you think that maybe the Dean kid might be come the 3rd, 4th round?
Yes.
Right.
I think he's a guy, if he can stay healthy and in the lineup consistently for the rest of the regular season and in the playoffs, I think he's going to catch some attention.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will add them to my need to scout list, which is ever growing, of course, this time of year.
Yep.
Guy, it's been a pleasure. We're going to have you back on before the end of the year, especially as the draft talk gets heated up here and there's more interest in the draft itself. But thank you so much for taking an hour to shoot the breeze with me today.
Grant, I appreciate the invite, and we'll definitely talk again.
Okay. Thanks, Guy. Guy Flaming, folks. Absolute pleasure to have him on. If you haven't seen his Pipeline show, check it out. It's on I think it's on Patreon, something like $2 a month or something to view his podcast. It's great. If you have any interest whatsoever in the draft, please make a point to check out the Pipeline show. It's fantastic. Well, we didn't get a lot of people on here. If you missed the start of the show, I asked Guy about the Bryce Pickford update on him. It sounds like he's might need surgery. Now, it hasn't been confirmed, but the longer this goes on, something that was supposed to be day to day, and that would add up, that there'd be something like that, that it's not healing, whatever the issue might be, and that the way to fix it often in those cases, and we've seen it with Montreal Canadiens players in the past, right? Like what wasn't Carey Price at one point day to day, and Shea Weber day to day, and then all of a sudden they're, after a few weeks of this day to day, I think it was in Price's case and others, all of a sudden they're having surgery. So here's hoping that he's not done for the year, but at this point, it would not shock me if that ends up being the case, that Bryce Pickford's season might be over, and that would be bad news. Obviously, we're hoping to see him in Laval at the end of the year. It certainly will slow down his process into maybe trying to crack an NHL roster. So anyway, not the best news if, in fact, it does turn out to be the case that he needs surgery. Yet another Habs prospect running into injury issues soon after he is drafted. Folks, this is a guy that ran into back injuries late in his career, or he'd have been a 500-goal scorer in the NHL. As it was, still had his number retired, Hall of Famer, 10 Stanley Cup wins, the second most in NHL history, along with Jean Beliveau, and it's, of course, the Roadrunner Yvan Cournoyer. Now, what's he doing beside that bulldozer? He is at Logs End, and that's where he got his flooring for his beautiful home, and he couldn't have been happier with it. www.logsend.com. Check out their website. You will be floored if you do. And if you do get in touch with them, maybe to get a quote, ask them some questions, just tell them that Grant and Yvan sent you there, okay? And trust me, that won't hurt. That won't hurt you. You'll get treated like royalty if you do. So once again, logsend.com. Check it out. They're great guys, and they do great work. Also, if you notice there, nextlevelhockey.com, they're now a sponsor as well. Great hockey school in the Montreal area. Look up their website too. Next Level. If you type in Next Level Hockey in Google, you'll go right to their site. Check it out. Owen Beck, among many great prospects, young prospects, have gone to their school, and it was a great benefit to all of them. So Next Level Hockey, my newest sponsor. Thank you so much, guys, and check them out if you have any interest in enrolling your kid in a hockey school. Terry Meyer. So we'll get to a few comments here. Not too many people weighing in, so we'll cut it short. But hi guys, beautiful day here in Kitchener. It's beautiful here too. You guys think Pickford will actually lace up for the Habs? I personally think he will. He will require 3 to 4 years to grow. By then, there will be a spot. Yeah, I think it'd probably take him 3-4 years. Obviously, with this, if he's out for the season, that will set him back a little bit. Might be 2 or 3 years. It all depends. Lineups change. There's always turnover every 2 to 3 years. So who knows what the lineup will look like at that point? But presumably, when Carrier's ready to leave, then Pickford would be the natural choice to be taking his place. Rick, always fun to hear Guy talk about the WHL and the draft in general. Would be curious to hear his views of the Ruck twins. Well, you heard it. You also heard our takes on Pickford, right? So, as Rick says, asked and answered. There you go. Jonas Silverstein of the Raiders fits what the Habs are looking for. Thoughts on Jona? Sorry, I didn't see that in time. Any goaltending prospect turning scouts' head in the WHL? Well, we did talk about several of them there. I hope that satisfied your curiosity. Yes, Liam had one more point than Marcus. Yeah, exactly, Emil. Thank you for listing that. That was some interesting points that Guy made about U.S. college making kids wait to go. Yeah, that was a very good point by him. He had a lot of good points, actually. You would think kids would just say screw college and get some good coaching in the CHL, probably develop nonetheless. Yeah. Well, not all these kids are going to have long, lucrative NHL careers. I mean, free education, I don't blame people that do that. Not at all. So, absolutely, I've got no issue with that. I mean, I can't blame kids for wanting to go to college, and there's probably pressure from parents too and stuff, right? It's a good fallback. Ken Dryden, ask Ken. Anyway, it bothers me that so many made the jump, but as Guy said, some guys go means that other guys can't go, but typically the ones that do go are the best. So you're losing like the Gavin McKennas and Cole Reshneys and Keaton Verhaas. So I think it hurts the quality of play for the 18, 19, 20-year-olds. But at the same time, this ruling also will mean you'll get more kids coming to play CHL at 16, 17. And that includes Canadian kids too, who then, when they think they're mature enough at 19 or whatever, then go to play college for a while. Yeah, the CHL provides some funding for Canadian post-secondary schooling, but I mean, you got a chance to go to, I don't know, Boston University or Lakehead. The facilities at one are better than at the other. So, and I mean, how many kids out of university hockey in Canada go on to play in the NHL? It's not, it's not a prime development source per se. So, yeah. I mean, you have a choice. One or the other: Canadian university hockey, American university hockey. I get why the American university hockey is more appealing, right? All right, folks. Well, pretty I guess that's it for this round. Gonna come on tomorrow about the same time, I think, after the Canada game. I'll wrap up Swedish game and the Canada game. Canada will be playing Slovakia, or sorry, Canada will be playing Czech Republic. No real surprise there. Sweden, Latvia playing this aft, so presumably Slovakia will be playing Sweden, I guess, right? But we'll see. It's remains to be seen. Or wait, no, it's Slovakia will play Germany. That's right. So Slovakia, Germany at 6:10 a.m. So I'll be up early for that, and then catch the Canada game. But right after, I am going to do. I'll do a live podcast after the Canada game. So I hope you can join me then. Okay, folks. All right. Thanks for everything. Thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you tomorrow after a big Canadian win. Bye for now.